start again. It's a redskin.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing? So I am so glad you're back for another video. As you can see by the title, this is my breastfeeding journey and the breastfeeding essentials that I use as a first-time mom. So this is going to be a real casual conversation. I just want to give you guys some encouraging words and let you know how I got through my breastfeeding journey, and I'm still currently doing it. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this video or will enjoy this video. So let's get into it. Alright guys, so I wanted to quickly film this video for you guys because Malaya is sleeping. I always try to sneak in some videos and try to record while she sleeps. So she's been asleep for a little while, so hopefully she doesn't wake up. So let's jump into this video. I have my laptop here, I have my water here, so we can just sit back and talk really quick. And I'm going to try to stay in order, hopefully, and hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. I don't want it to be all over the place. All right, so let's talk about breastfeeding. Before we do that, congratulations to the new moms out there. Congratulations if you're still pregnant, about to have your baby. I hope you guys are doing well. I wish you nothing but a safe delivery because it was a journey for delivery. I have a few points here, so I'm gonna start with this point, and it is what my doctor told me. So before we get into the actual journey, my doctor told me before I delivered Malaya was to feed the baby and not feed the freezer. Now what I took that as is don't try to make this huge stockpile of breast milk for your baby instead of actually feeding the baby. That was actually my mindset prior to talking to my doctor that day. I was like, yeah, we're gonna have a stockpile of breast milk, like we're gonna get into it, like I'm gonna pump all this milk, I'm gonna be super excited, she's gonna have like a 6-month supply of milk. Boy, was I wrong, okay? I was super duper wrong with that thinking. Only because I literally was not an oversupplier in order to produce that much milk. But we're going to get into that. So yeah, that is what my doctor told me. You need to write that down. You need to keep that in the back of your mind so you can understand like what she mean later on in my story. Now I'm going to jump into the delivery at the hospital. After I delivered Malaya, we were all set up, we were good. So they came in and they asked me, hey, will you be breastfeeding or do you want formula? Because you know some hospitals, or maybe all hospitals, I'm not sure, they provide you formula if you want a formula feed, or they teach you how to breastfeed and latch the baby if you want to breastfeed. So in my case, of course, I wanted to breastfeed. I'm so gung-ho on breast milk. I do not want formula. To me, in my mind, I'm like, formula is horrible. For me, I actually started collecting colostrum. I'm going to put on the screen what colostrum is. Colostrum is the first milk that you get for your baby. So your actual breast milk doesn't come in till about 3 to 4 days after you deliver. So I started collecting colostrum, I want to say about maybe 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks prior to delivery, because I wanted her to have milk from me. I didn't want formula. I didn't want to try it. I didn't even want to look at it. But I decided to grab a couple of cans of formula just in case. And the reason I did this is because in the back of my mind, when I was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, what if my body is not able to produce breast milk? What if I can never produce breast milk? What is my baby going to eat? So I decided to go out and buy formula just in case, and I did a ton of research on the type of formula I wanted. So I went and got that. That is currently in her closet, never used because my breast milk was fine. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I was a little crazy thinking that I wasn't going to have breast milk because that's what our bodies do. But anyway, so yeah, back to the first day in the hospital. So, not the hospital, Jesus. My doctor's appointment. I was collecting colostrum about 3 weeks prior to having the baby, and I was collecting them in the 1 milliliter syringe. I learned how to do all that stuff on a YouTube video that I found. Like if you just literally YouTube how to collect colostrum, there are certified people teaching you on YouTube how to do that. So don't worry, you may have some trouble collecting that first, but trust me, it will come out. you'll be fine. So I collected it in 1 milliliter syringes. I froze them all the way up until I had Malaya. The night that I went into labor, we literally grabbed a little cooler container that I had. We had ice packs in there. We stuck the colostrum in there and we drove to the hospital. So the first day of delivering Malaya, they asked me if I wanted to breastfeed. I said yes. I told them I had colostrum as well. They let me store it in my room's freezer as well. So I literally had it in a Ziploc bag, and I would take it out. They had a little warmer where I could put the syringes in, warm it up for her to eat, and then I would feed her those. I want to say I had about 20 to 25 syringes of colostrum, and I would warm them up and feed her anytime she was hungry. So we used them all at the hospital because we stayed there for about 2 to 3 days. We used them all at the hospital, and then I started to pump in order for her to continue to eat. All right, guys, so once we were done with the syringes that we had and brought to the hospital, I started to use their hospital pump. They have a hospital grade Medela pump. It worked well. I really liked it, but they also gave me a manual pump package with the flanges and the pump and the pieces and stuff like that. I used their hospital grade pump for the entire time I was there, and I would pump as much as I can, and I would store them in little containers, and then I will also feed Malaya as well on my breast so she could get used to latching and things like that. So that is what I did for the first few days that I was in the hospital. Now we're going to jump to coming home and pumping, and that was a whole different experience. So let me pull up my notes that I had. Where are they? My email. Oh my God, not the stuff playing in the background. So now I'm coming home. I had to do this alone in terms of breastfeeding and things like that. So I would try to stay on a pumping schedule. My breast became so full of milk that I would have to pump constantly, or the milk would just leak. And you don't want to waste breast milk. Breast milk is liquid gold, okay? You don't want to waste that. So I would literally pump. And when I say we filled the freezer, guys. We have a regular standard refrigerator and freezer. Guys, it was full. And it was so full that, give it a second, it was so full that we had to buy a deep freezer. I was like, this is crazy. Like, my mind was blown how much milk I was producing. And, excuse me, no one told me that my milk will regulate. Out of all the research that I've done, out of all the videos that I've watched, all the doctors that I talked to, even talked to the lactation consultant, never told me that my breast milk will regulate. I'm like, oh my goodness. So when it did regulate, I thought it was a drop in supply. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to feed my baby. But we're going to get to that story as well. So yes, I was filling up containers and containers and containers of Ziploc bags and the little breast milk bags. Like, let me see, I got one right here. I was filling these things up, guys, and I've had so much milk stored. We had, I want to say, at least, I don't even know, 10 to 12 of these inside a gallon Ziploc bag, and we had 9 Ziploc bags in our deep freezer. So once my breast milk regulated, I thought it was a drop in, in milk, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I started researching. I started going on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, to figure out, what do you do to get your breast milk supply back up? They said, oh, eat the brownies, eat the cookies, drink this, do that. Literally, I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do because I got to feed my baby. As a first-time mom, it's so nerve-wracking, and it's so like you don't want to feel guilty. You don't want to let your child down. Like, you can't feed them. Like, you have to turn to formula, which isn't so bad, guys. But I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not what I wanted to do as a first-time mom. Like, I wanted to feel good as a mom. I wanted to feel like I was doing something for my child. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to feed my baby and get my breast milk back up. So what do? I go spend $22 on cookies. I ordered probably 3 boxes of these cookies. They were $22 a piece. I spent that on these cookies. I bought a ton of Under Armour. I bought a ton of body armor, to fuel my body. I'm thinking this is what I need in order to get my milk supply back up. What did I do? Gatorade I tried. I increased my water intake. I would eat these cookies like crazy. I'm like, okay, like what's happening? Now, I did see an increase. Now, I don't know if that was because of the stuff or that was because of my body. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, this stuff is working. Let me continue to consume these things because it's working for me. My breast milk is coming back. So after a while, after pumping and after my breast milk came back, guys, I started to use the electric pump. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Now I see another drop. I'm like, what's going on? So my baby's pediatrician is the one who told me maybe I'm overstimulating my breast and that's why my milk supply dropped again. He's like, maybe the pump is too much. So why don't you just try to feed her and feed her on demand and things like that to see what it does. I'm so thankful to him because once I tried that, guys, my breast milk regulated, which was okay that it regulated, but I was still able to sustain enough milk to feed her. Like, she feeds on demand now. So if she was to wake up right now, let's just say it's 2 o'clock. If she was to wake up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and she's ready to eat, she empties both breasts by, eating. And then if she doesn't go back to sleep, and let's just say it's 2:05 and she wants to eat again, I put her right back on my breast to eat again. And he told me that the saliva in babies, their mouths, help signal something to the brain to produce more milk. And at the end of the day, a pump can't really do that. So I was like, I'm so thankful that he told me that. Let me just try to feed her on my own, and everything ended up being good. And till this day, she's about to be 5 months on the 14th. She literally eats from my breast. She's full. She's gaining so much weight. My daughter is now 16 pounds? Well, she's probably more than that now because her doctor's appointment was about a week or so ago. So she probably weighs a little more than 16 pounds. But guys, your body is made to do it, so it's gonna happen. So I just let everything go. I no longer pump. And for her to eat, I do have I want to say about 5 bags of breast milk in the freezer just in case, I have to go somewhere without her, which I haven't done yet. I haven't left her alone yet with anybody. But just in case we have to go somewhere, like me and my fiance's anniversary is coming up. We're probably going to go out. So it's like I just have that just in case, she needs it if I'm not around or if I'm sick or something like that. So that's what I'm currently doing. Pump for emergencies. Don't pump for you to continuously feed the freezer. Pump for an emergency. Have a little stash. A little stash is not 3,000 bags. Okay, you don't need that many bags. Trust me. Your body is going to continue to produce the milk, and just take care of yourself. Drink water. Do all those kinds of things in order to keep the milk supply going, but don't do it to, have the milk supply skyrocket just so you can have an abundance amount of milk that you don't really need. Now, guys, let's jump into feeling like you want to give up. Oh my goodness. My doctor told me, you're going to feel like you want to give up. Trust me, I'm telling you, breast milk and breastfeeding is intense. She's like, just make sure you're feeding the baby. Like, relax, you're going to be fine. If you feel like you want to give up, don't. She was like, stick in there for the first 2 months. Once those 2 months pass, you're going to be fine. For me, that was actually true. Breastfeeding was so hard for me, guys. I didn't like the way it felt. It hurt. I was like, what's going on? Like, oh my God, I got to sit here and have her on me this whole time for her to eat, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I don't like it. Like, it's not, I don't like it. So I didn't have a choice because I knew I wanted the best for my baby. And at that moment, the best was me. The best was the breast milk. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, I have to stick through something that I don't like for my daughter. I'm going to sacrifice. That's fine. So I literally stuck through it, and now I'm okay. Like, when she eats now, it doesn't hurt at all. Like, honestly, it doesn't hurt. It's a little uncomfortable at times, especially if she's continuously eating and she's not hungry, or she's just using me, to soothe her, or like a human pacifier. Like I said, it gets uncomfortable, but it's okay. It's better than pain that, you may experience in the beginning. You don't have to feel guilty for not wanting to breastfeed your baby. It's your body, it's your choice. You need to do what's best for you and your mental capacity of what's going on with you. After having a baby, you are like a totally different person. You're not the same person you were before you were pregnant. So make sure you take into account that it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to not want to breastfeed. Just make sure you're feeding your child with formula or some other alternative. Don't let your baby, not eat. Make sure you're taking your mental capacity in a state for knowing what breastfeeding is. Like, breastfeeding is giving yourself to your baby. Like, you're literally going to be having these thoughts like, oh my God, I can't do this, but you can do it. Trust me, you got this. I believe in you. Like, you can definitely breastfeed if that's what you want to do. I thought the same thing. I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. I'm like, oh my God, but you need support. If you have support, trust me, you got it. You can do it. Get past those first 2 months and everything else will be smooth sailing. One piece of advice that I have is to not take other people's advice too seriously. I'm talking about these overproducers on social media. We all know social media, people only show the good and don't really want to show the bad. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not all good. Okay. Producers that I watched on TikTok, that I watched on YouTube, I'm not going to say they glamorized it, but they definitely did rub it in a little bit. Like, that's what I felt. And I felt like they could have probably delivered their message a little differently. Like, most of them will be like, oh, I'm an overproducer, so this is what I produce. I produce 34 ounces in an hour. And I'm like, that's not realistic to the average woman. Like, you're an overproducer because of something in you that's overproducing. Everybody else is not like that. So when I used to watch those videos, I'm like, in my mind, like, I didn't purposefully take in that information. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be an overproducer, but something in the back of my mind was telling me like, yeah, you can do it too. Like, no, it wasn't realistic. Okay, it's not realistic. Don't listen to the hype. Like, it's not what it is. Okay, some women out there are able to produce that much milk in an hour, but the average woman is not, and most likely you fall into that percent of being an average woman, and it's nothing wrong with that. Long as your baby is eating, you should be fine with that, because there's some babies out there that may not be able to eat from, their mom or get the best nutrients. You know what I mean? So guys, that was my breastfeeding journey, and I'm going to jump into these essentials really quick that you need. Make sure you get these things to make yourself feel better, to make your baby comfortable with breastfeeding and things like that. So I'm going to run them down really quick, and then I'm going to let you know the kinds of things that I use, and that will be the end of the video. So the breastfeeding essentials that you absolutely need: nipple cream. Oh my goodness. Do not try to do this whole breastfeeding journey without nipple cream. I learned my lesson. Malik will look at me like, you're crazy. Like, why don't you use a nipple cream? And honestly, I don't even know why I didn't use it in the beginning. Like, I really don't know why. But once I started using it, everything was fine. Like, I was like, oh, this feels great. Like, okay, nipple cream, check that off. Like, everything was good after that. The next thing you need, if you're going to be a pumping mom and a breastfeeding mom, which you can choose to do whatever you want to do, nobody's judging you here, you can get a pump. Make sure the things that you would need is heating pads and nipple pads, because your breast can get swollen. So the heating pads will soothe them, and then the nipple pads will collect all the extra leaking colostrum or the leaking breast milk. So you don't want to, just have it leaking all over your shirt. So make sure you get those. And then nipple shields, if breastfeeding is painful for you, it creates that barrier so you don't have to be in pain. Just because you are a mom doesn't mean you have to go through a crazy amount of pain just to feed your baby. You are going to be fine, and make sure you get the nipple shields to create that barrier for yourself so you won't be in so much pain. And then lastly, guys, make sure you get Tylenol, okay? Take some Tylenol. It's okay. It doesn't pass on to the baby. As a first-time mom, I was like, I don't want to use any medicine just in case, something happens. I don't want, anything passing on to her that she's not supposed to have. That was everything that I had for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more mommy content. I also have regular content coming as well. So yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.